Alright guys, Revolve Rustler here, and today I will be ranking the 8 Harry Potter movies in order from best to worst, well, from worst to best actually. I'm doing this as a tribute to Alan Rickman, who of course we all know played Severus Snape. One of my favourite characters actually in the Harry Potter films, and the 2 books I've read. I've only read about 2 1/3 of the books, so I couldn't rank those. I've only read the first 2 and like 1/3 of the last one. But I've decided to do this, of course, to Alan Rickman. He was a wonderful actor. I know him personally as Hans Gruber from Die Hard, but I know all the younger people out there are going to know him as Severus Snape, and that's why I think his death is going to be very, very important to a lot of people because of his role as Severus Snape. It's one of those that I'm going to care about because I know him as, you know, Snape and Hans Gruber. So, starting off, let me just tell you, there is going to be some personal bias here. I'm ranking the movies from which I think are best to worst, even though there is some personal bias to which ones I enjoy the most. I'll be looking at, you know, certain moments in them, characters that are brought in, stuff like that. So I think we should just get straight into it with number 8. So this is the weakest movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think any of the Harry Potter movies are necessarily bad. I would just say this one is the weakest, and it kind of drags a bit, and it really does, actually, now I'm thinking about it. We start off with number 8, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm really sorry for that glare. I don't have any of them on Blu-ray, sadly. So Chamber of Secrets. This is the second movie out of the 8, and I would say this one drags the most. I think that basically everything is answered. I do want to say very, very quickly, I will be saying spoilers. I'll put that in the title as well. There will be spoilers. Well, to big moments in them, there's going to be spoilers. So I think the whole basilisk thing's really, really cool. I think the fact that you find out that Tom Riddle was a human at one point is kind of nice because it gives him some sort of relatability. And it makes him human. It makes him seem like he's more like Harry. The whole series compares Tom Riddle and Harry so much, and now you know that Tom Riddle's a human at one point. Unfortunately, it answers so much within about 10 minutes. So what it does is it drags for a good 40 minutes, and nothing of any real note happens. So Harry and Ron will go to the woods after Hermione's been petrified, and they'll find out one thing, and they'll find out that Hagrid didn't open the chamber. That's all they find out. So they've literally ticked someone off the list of the 1,000 people they've still got to tick off. And Hermione, of course, has that note in her hand, which they didn't see the first time, which basically answers every question. So it says that the basilisk is what's petrifying people. It tells them how the basilisk has been getting around and stuff like that. So it answers too much very, very quickly. There are a few touching moments. The hospital scene, I would say, with Ron and Hermione and Harry is quite a touching moment, but I would say that's kind of it. In terms of characters it brings in Lockhart, who is the most annoying Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher they ever bring in. In all honesty, the ratio of good to bad Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers isn't particularly... But actually, it's quite even, which is kind of bad, actually. Also, Jenny's brought into it on a bigger level, and you can see that her... feelings for Harry. Well, originally she just has a crush on Harry, as you can tell, but after a period of time, you know, that she starts to love him, which does get dropped, of course. But overall, I do think this is the weakest of the Harry Potter movies. It's still good. If I'm going to watch it, then if I'm going to watch Harry Potter, then I wouldn't skip one. But this is the one that when I watch, I sort of tend to have slightly less interest in, and that's why it's number 8. If I was rating it, I'd probably say it's like a 6 out of 10. You know, at best. So moving on to number 7, the second weakest movie. I watched this one again last night because I wanted to sort of rank this one. I knew that my top 3 and bottom 2 were really easy to do, but the middle ones were kind of hard, and this was actually one of those that I'd actually changed a bit. So, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is probably the one I've watched the second most, and that's probably because I just couldn't be bothered to take it out of my DVD player. What happens in Order of the Phoenix? Honestly, what characters does it bring in of any importance? Mad-Eye Moody was brought in Goblet of Fire, so that doesn't count. There's Tonks, there's the rest of the Order, like Kingsley, but they don't fortunately do a lot. Tonks is cool later on, but not really at this stage, and she does actually change a lot from this stage. You can see the seeds of Ginny and Harry's relationship in this one as well, but you do have to kind of spot them. They're not like directly looked at, so there's a bit where Harry walks over to Cho and Jenny sort of looks back like kind of worried. There's also the bit where they're walking on the bridge and Hermione says to Harry, Cho couldn't take her eyes off you, could she? And Ginny's like, oh, poor me. And of course, the other relationship, Ron and Hermione, is alluded to a little bit more in this one. You can see the banter between them becomes a lot more nice, whereas in like the first two, it's kind of mean banter. But in all honesty, Order of the Phoenix, nothing really happens. Bellatrix is in it. I would say Sirius's death is probably the second best death of the whole series, behind Dumbledore's. But apart from that, nothing really happens. You find out that Bellatrix killed Neville's parents, but that's kind of it. So that's why I think Order of the Phoenix is just sort of there. It is filler. It is one of those ones in the middle where they just needed filler. And we'll talk about filler a bit later on, actually. Moving on to number 6, so the third weakest, we have the original Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone if you're American. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, sorry. Again, it's good. I would give Order of the Phoenix like a 6 as well. It's good. It's a good movie. It's fine. I'd watch it if I was just watching them all. But I do think this is another one of those that drags. This was also before it started to get mature. So this is the one where you can tell it's a kids' movie, and you can tell it was adapted from a children's book. And when Rowling was obviously writing this book, she probably thought it would be the only one. So that's why I think it ends quite conclusively. I think the ending to this is like quite a decent ending. In terms of characters they bring in, it's just every character, so that's kind of cheating. Quirrell is really boring. He doesn't do much, to be honest, in this movie. Hagrid gets the most in this movie, which is kind of nice. They use Robbie Coltrane really, really well in this movie. And, I mean, the best acting performances, I would say, in Harry Potter are from, like, the three kids who, at this point, the chemistry hasn't built yet, really. And from Snape, from Alan Rickman, who, at this point, doesn't do much. So that's why I think this movie just sort of lacks a bit. I mean, with the quality cast, I mean, at this point, while the children, I would say all of the kids weren't incredible actors at this point. They were fine, they just weren't great. I would say that the older cast, so Maggie Smith, Severus Snape with Alan Rickman, Richard Harris, who unfortunately passed away, obviously, and Robbie Coltrane, I think those sort of kept the quality of the movie in check. So it's still a decent movie, but it is one of the weaker Harry Potter movies, and that's why I put it like 6th. Again, this is like a 6 out of 10. Moving on to number 5, so this is the last, like, weakest one. So, number 5, probably going to be a controversial one. People seem to like this one a lot more. But I decided, after rewatching it, that I would put it here. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let me think. The Triwizard Tournament is insanely cool, and it was really, really nice that they brought that in. Unfortunately, it's never alluded to before this, and it's never alluded to after this. So I feel like there could have been just some solidarity or significance to it that could have been done before or after. I don't know, just a mention, I don't know. Did you hear about the Triwizard Tournament that's being held at that school? The new characters they bring in again, there's like Mad-Eye Moody, who's a really, really cool one. I do like Mad-Eye Moody a lot. He's one of my favourite Defence Against the Dark Arts teachers. And they bring in like Victor Crumb, who doesn't do much. They bring in Fleur Delacour, who's the Beauxbatons champion, but then again, they don't do much. And I'm going to have to mention it, Cedric's death. Honestly, really couldn't care. We only knew him for one movie. If Cedric had been brought in the first movie and had gone on through all the movies, yeah, I might have cared slightly more. And it's not just because it's Robert Pattinson. Actually in a good movie for once. But, I don't know, his death just didn't entertain me. The revelation that Lord Voldemort is still alive is a very cool one, and that's the movie ends very well. I do like the ending of the movie. I like how Mad-Eye Moody wasn't actually Mad-Eye Moody, even though the Mad-Eye Moody character in this one is really, really cool. And I do like the slight confrontation between Ron and Harry, even though Ron is slightly gullible, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think I would have been that harsh on my friend if he put his, thing into the cup. And you can also, this is one of those points I would say where the maturity of the material really shows. With like they actually swore, I think twice. So shock. And I was going to say something. The friendship between Harry, Ron, and Hermione in this one is really, really strong. I would say, especially Hermione and Harry's. I think that one is quite strong in this one. As you can see by the bit where she goes to the tent and she doesn't know which side to take. She eventually does take Ron's side, which again I think... Well, no. She takes Ron's side for quite a bit of it, which I think shows, again, that's just building on their relationship, which will go forward. And the Yule Ball moment between them is very, very cool. I wish it was better, but it's very, very cool. Number 4, and we have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I haven't even shown you it, so I don't know why I'm saying it. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Now, I would say this movie is good. In fact, when I rewatched it, this is actually one of my favourites, I would say. Probably third or second favourite. I really, really like this one. There's so many moments in this one that I really, really like. I really like the dance bit with Ron and Harry, because that shows to me, Ron and Harry with Hermione and Harry. That bit to me shows that they're more than friends. They're not like lovers or anything like that. They are brother and sister. That's what I got from that. It's not that Harry's dancing with her to try and entice her. No, he's not. He's trying to cheer her up. He's trying to do what a brother would do for his sister. And that's a really, really cool moment. I would say, as corny as Ron coming back and saying that the light touched his heart from Hermione, that's so corny, but it's actually really, really touching. And this is the point, I would say, where the maturity and the relationship and the chemistry between those three actors, between Watson, between Grint, and between Daniel Radcliffe, really shines through. And I think this one is probably one of the best movies for it. New characters, because we're towards the end, I don't bring in that many. Gregorovich, isn't it? I would say the ending to this one's quite cool. Dobby's death is quite tragic, because Dobby was such an innocent, and that's why I think Dobby's death is quite sad. But yeah, I would say this one is one of my favourites, and one of the better ones because of the chemistry, and the fact that this movie's kind of like Castaway. A lot of the movie is just Tom Hanks, or in this case, Watson, Grint, and Radcliffe, or actually, Watson and Radcliffe. So, that's why I think this is one of the best movies. I really enjoy this one. From the moment Hermione and Harry, you know, get rid of Ron, which, you know, that some of that stuff there is very, very touching. When they go back to Godric's Hollow, when they see Harry's grave, some of that's really, really good. And the Deathly Hallows story is probably my favourite part. That is so good. Just as a story, it's really, really cool. And that's why I think Deathly Hallows Part 1 is one of the best Harry Potter movies. Moving on, we have the start of the maturity in Harry Potter, and I was someone who didn't like this movie, I'm going to be honest. To me, it always seemed like filler, it didn't seem like much happened. Watched it this week, and I tell you what, my perception hasn't completely changed. It's not the best Harry Potter movie in my opinion, but it is a damn good Harry Potter movie. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. A lot of praise should be thrown towards it because of two things. One, it is insanely mature in comparison to the previous two, with like Lupin and with Sirius Black. But the other thing I would say is, damn it, the plot. The plot is really complex. So you have to really follow the plot in this one to find out about Peter Pettigrew and Sirius and how all that ties into Harry's parents and Remus and stuff like that. This movie brings in the best characters, I would say. Remus, I love, awesome character. Really, really cool. Like, his lesson with ridiculous lessons, really, really cool. Sirius Black's a really cool character. Again, bringing in an amazing actor in Gary Oldman. And Peter Pettigrew is Timothy's ball is quite cool. But I don't know. I really like this movie after watching it. I felt like this movie did... Chamber of the Secrets, what that did is that focused more on Harry and Ron's relationship. This one focused more on Hermione and Harry's, because, you know, Ron goes to hospital and then Harry and Hermione have to do everything themselves. There's Buckbeak, and Buckbeak's insanely cool. So that's why I think this is one of the best Harry Potter movies. One of the very best Harry Potter movies. The last two, and this is where the personal bias probably jumps in and probably puts this one ahead of that one for me. This is my favourite Harry Potter movie. If I want to watch a Harry Potter movie, I will just go, I'm going to watch that Harry Potter movie. And I've gone with Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I love this movie. This might actually be one of my favourite movies. I don't know why. It's just so entertaining. The plot in it is really complex. And the chemistry in this one between, again, Harry, Ron and Hermione, because it improved so much towards the latter end of the movies, is so entertaining. You see the, like, solidification of, like, Hermione's feelings towards Ron. You see Harry's feelings towards Ginny. Unfortunately, Ginny didn't really show any in this movie. She showed him before this movie, apart from the kiss, obviously. And I think that, again, the Hermione and Ron and Harry and Ginny stuff, it's good. It's really, really good, to be honest. And The characters they bring in this one, there's Slughorn, who again, Jim Broadbent. Great, I love Slughorn's bit. Well, I don't love Slughorn, I like Slughorn, it's one of my favourite potions, well, he's the only other potions teacher. The ending of this movie is by far the best, I would say, ending of a Harry Potter movie. It ends so perfectly. Because it's the only one that I think ends on a negative note. Because all the others end with at least Harry surviving or something like that. This one ends really on a negative note. Dumbledore's death is really impressive because it rallies everybody. They know the cause. They know what they have to do now. And that's why I love Half-Blood Prince. I love... Lavender Brown's kind of annoying. She dies in the next one. So, well, she dies in the last one, so yay. But, you know, overall, I love Half-Blood Prince. Really, really like it. I wish I'd read the book. I do have all the books. So number 1, so you don't have to guess it, because if you've worked it out, there's only one left. Number 1 is... Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. One of the only 2 of them that I actually saw in cinema. I saw this one and Prisoner of Azkaban in cinemas. I saw Prisoner of Azkaban when I was like 5 years old. Probably didn't understand it. Deathly Hallows Part 2 is a fantastic conclusion. It concludes on an incredible note. I think it does it so well. I think it ties up everything it needed to. I think while the characters who actually die, there could have been some more important ones. I think Remus and Tonks is a nice one because they have a child. That's kind of, oh, that's really, really sad. Even though it would have been nice to actually see their child at one point, you know, maybe. The fact that basically they find all the Horcruxes within about an hour of the movie is kind of rushing it, but I didn't really care at that point. The finale of like Harry and Hermione and Ron's story and Ginny and all the relationships they all have is really, really nice. I think the Chamber of Secrets moment with Ron and Hermione is corny and just like, oh, okay. But it's kind of nice. It's different from the one in the book as well, which the one in the book's better, to be honest, from what I know. Well, actually, I've read that part. I've read that part because I was interested. So, I mean, it's a great conclusion. The battle with Voldemort is brilliant. I would say that everybody gets to show some quality. Even Molly Weasley, Julie Walters, another fantastic actress, gets to show her quality in this movie. Minerva McGonagall gets her moment. Neville gets his moment on the bridge, and Neville actually is the real hero. The prophecy said that Neville was the hero, apparently. So that's it. Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2 is a fantastic conclusion, and in my eyes, it's the best Harry Potter movie. I absolutely love when I watch it. It's really damn good, and it's finally the final part of not just Harry, Hermione, and Ron's story, but it's the final chapter in Watson, Grint, and Daniel Radcliffe's story. So there you go. That's the ranking of the 8 Harry Potter movies, in my opinion. You tell me what you think. I do want to say something that I think another reason that I decided to do this was because over like the past few days I've been reading a fan fiction on the internet, and it's not a rude fan fiction or like a very sexual fan fiction. It's quite a good, touching fan fiction about what happens after Deathly Hallows, and it focuses on Ron and Hermione and how their relationship continues and how they get married and have kids and stuff like that. And it was really, really cool. Check it out if you want. It's called Ron and Hermione: A Life Lived. I've read all 26 chapters of it. There's some really, really smart writing. There's some funny moments and there's some quite touching moments towards the end. So check that out if you're interested. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Revolver Ocelot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.